welcome to this weekend's edition of Viewer Levels. Let's get right into it since we have a few entries in the queue already, beginning with Luca's Maker Code. We're going to skip over this first level that seems like it's some kind of collision between Finnish and Old English. And we're going to go to Mario, Hopper, and Sorcery Storm. You're a blizzard, Mario. Dedicated it to your friend Supernova. Oh, we still got Toadette here, rolled over from whatever we were doing last week. Pirouetting everywhere with her. Yeah, that's a bad idea. I was sort of planning ahead to see how we would go about getting that pink coin, and that was maybe not the best idea we've come up with lately. But it seems like that's the way to do it, actually, just to wall jump up there. Grab the coin quickly and then slide down to the star. What's this all about? Okay, I thought so. Yeah. But we won't be doing that and the pink coin, I don't think. And thank you for all the submissions that have come in so far. Sorry if I haven't been able to acknowledge all of them just yet. Below, if we can. Oh, whoops, I just missed. We'll attempt to go for the coin route, of course. Whether we do so successfully is anyone's guess. Let's remember to do an extra twirl there. I was hoping that having full speed there would send me down to the start just fine, but seems not. Yeah. Oh, I see. I bumped my head on the way down. I should probably go down the left and maybe wall jump over. That would be much safer by the looks of it. Luckily, there are some extra stars there. Oh, we ran out. I didn't realize that. I thought it would hit that extra star that had just appeared by the thwomp in the top corner. That's okay. Let's actually wait for the ceiling to be open this time before we proceed. Oh, I see. I've been blocking the projectiles with Toadette. That's one of the problems I've been running into. Okay. I probably should have gotten that additional star that came down instead of rushing all the way ahead. There is a lot going on screen, as you can see. Whoops. That's not going to work. Let's just start that one over again. Okay, that was smooth for once. Let's not obstruct everything. And yeah, I do need more uptime on the star if I'm going to do it that way. There is that thwomp up top that gives me an additional one, but I missed one for sure. And before that whole wall jump sequence. Now we just need to be aware of that. Whoop, I dumped by the claw. There is just a lot to read all over this level. And then, yeah, we need to not block too much. There we go, got a star just before things were due to run out. I feel like one additional wall jump and then we tap the thwomp and then grab that star. We shouldn't go through the bottom middle, I don't think, even if we do grab the coin. Because I may run out of star power much too prematurely. And yeah, a couple of interesting ideas here that you normally don't see in combination with each other. I think that's the thing that makes this work, is that you have a couple of different things going on that independently would have made for an interesting level to begin with, like some different star and muncher setups than you usually see with things like the wall jumps off the claws. And, of course, cloud projectile spam by itself is not necessarily anything new, but you put these things together, you put them with the ice coins, you've got quite a lot going on here at once to make this concept really function. The screen is really busy, though, and so we have to be aware of that. Especially because I should be listening to the sound cues for when my star is going to expire, and it's actually quite difficult to hear. At least on my current setup here. Maybe it's coming clearer through the audio that you folks can hear at home, but definitely I feel like I'm trying to pay attention to the audio cues for the star timer, and I'm not necessarily doing a very good job of that. I mean, as long as we hit every star like that, then we should generally be fine, though. But yeah, I've seen a lot of Star and Muncher levels before, but none that use something like the wall jump sequence with the claws that you saw earlier. I should ignore the red coins if I want to get through the queue faster. Well, let's see how we do. Currently, I don't feel like the coins are actually adding that much difficulty to what I'm already doing, but I might be wrong. I mean, there we go. Okay, star over here, and then we need to wall jump over. Yeah, that's one of the other things, is that the star rolling jump animation, which looks kind of like a Metroid screw attack, can throw off my wall jump timing a little bit. That's just something we should be aware of. Like I was saying, I don't think the pink coins are adding that much difficulty right now. It might be the case later on that they really mess up my intended route, but right now, the things that I'm dying to, I would be dying to whether I was picking up the coins or not, I think. Except that we went too low and dropped the stack. We weren't supposed to do that the way I did it previously, where I wall jump back over to the swamp is the right way to do it. That's one coin that is slightly challenging, but we will go back to that and see what we can do. Yeah, we just have to go quickly through that coin below the munchers there. Oh, okay, I'm losing a lot of star time here, which is a bit of an issue, and yeah, didn't think about that muncher drop previously. That killed me there because we just didn't have to deal with it last time. Yeah, as long as we grab every star, the timing should not be too much of a problem. Okay, we'll wait. Yeah, one of the main risk factors is just that we're blocking off necessary projectiles. Oh, that's way too low. There is a speedrun path to beat it in less than 25 seconds. We're unlikely to find that. Partly because we're going for the coins, which do require some extra jumps here and there. It would also require you, I think, to have a very solid idea of which jumps you're going for. Come on, let's grab that. I cannot see a thing. Now, can I drop this? Yes, I can. And I was trying to wall jump back up, and I failed to do so because it was just that one tile that we have to get. You can collect all of the coins through the speedrun path. That's interesting. Because even the first one, it seems like I'm already making a bit of a detour. Everything's going to miss here. There we go. Yeah, just being able to visualize everything that's going on here is sort of the challenge, just because the screen is so busy. Yeah. Because occasionally I am losing track of my own position if I'm spinning around quite a bit. Whoops. Wall jumping at the beginning is as fast a start as running. Interesting. Oh, because of the immediate distance that you get horizontally. I see. I wouldn't have thought about that. That's interesting that you would be able to place a coin slightly out of way like that and still make it speed optimal. Oops. There we go. That was surprisingly salvageable. As was that. Come on. Oh, that icicle doesn't go down. Okay, that's a problem. I was standing on the right side icicle the whole time thinking that it would drop, and that was a bad call because we absolutely had it that time. Whoops. Yeah, I do see the lower path, by the way, if that's what you're talking about as the speedrun path. That you have the lower one-tile blocks that you can slip through. I was considering those paths when I was taking certain coins, and I realized that like I might not be able to get to a star refresh in time, but I wasn't that knowledgeable about the level at the time, and I didn't know where the next star was going to be, so now I do see that the path does potentially get you over, but just to be safe, I want to take as many stars as possible, so... But I do see the path that you're talking about, and I do see now how it connects to the coins. So I was trying to jump out of that icicle and towards the coin, so I don't have to wall jump to get out of that slot. That's a little bit tricky, though, so we'll see. But yeah, I definitely see the lower path. I am just not nearly accurate enough to take it, so I would prefer to go with the methods that I know. Whoops, bumping into the wall again, partly because it was disguised by a projectile. Speedrun is getting the hidden dev route. Yeah, pretty much. Aren't they always? Yeah, the time between stars is actually fairly generous if you know what you're doing. I did an unnecessary twirl there, and that's what hit the wall. So let's be careful here. Whoops. Let's be careful here. And King Brock, welcome. Yeah, we're pretty much through half. If I can just finish this jump here. So depending on whether there's a big difficulty spike in the second part, I don't know if it'll take that long necessarily. I mean, Luca did say this is the hardest level in the list. I don't know if I agree with that so far in Section 1, but Section 2 might be more punishing. So... Come on. No. Once again, trying to jump off the ice and towards the coin, and I'm just missing. Any dream changes for Maker 3? Yeah. The two that I bring up most often are... One that's about the social side, which is I want to be able to assemble playlists. Kind of like a super world, except I get to make a super world out of other people's levels. In terms of the actual in-game mechanics, I think I would like to have... whoops. Let's proceed and just see what happens. I would like to have more things that interact with scroll stop other than just ground tiles and hard blocks. Like, because there are already these physics interactions that are possible in the game, with things like the fire and ice interactions, for instance. And the fact that you can't use them in conjunction with scroll stop is actually a fairly limiting factor, that you just have so few ways to unblock a scroll. Anyway, those are two maybe less obvious things that if I were designing Maker 3, they would be in Maker 3. 4 coins. We didn't miss anything, did we? I don't think so. Hey, we actually got the fast path by accident. I don't think there's a particular need for a Super Mario 2 style. As I often say, I think the Super Mario 2 mushroom, the way it was implemented in this game, is actually better than any separate Mario 2 style that we would have received, but... I think that Odyssey would make for a very interesting custom style. If we're talking about custom styles, that's one that very naturally comes to mind. Because the capture mechanic essentially would make it a Kirby game. And there's quite a unique enemy set that you could bring into that as well. As well as the Cappy mechanics really extending what you can do with the jumps. Also because, you know, Odyssey has the benefit of mechanically being very well known to current generation of players. It looks like I'm supposed to sort of bump back and forth, like lower to Muncher, bump to the left, and bump back to the right. And Redbeard, welcome. I know, I was supposed to grab that star, and I did grab that star, actually, when I ran to Red Swamp. I did pick it up automatically. So this will be a bit of a pathing challenge. Man, I was already thinking, speaking of Sonic, that this is actually a bit of a Sonic-style level, isn't it? Where you just get really flashy and roll everywhere, and follow your momentum, and everything's very noisy. Nope. So yeah, this is going to be a bit of a speedrun style reversal. We just need to not miss the jump as we go off the edge. Whoops. Q Solo, a big one is to adjust properties, a lot of the items. Yeah, I think a lot of that stuff will never really make it in. I can see why you would want it, and I know that it would make the game sort of inherently more powerful. I think that when it comes to Nintendo's design philosophy for Maker, that because of people sort of playing in Endless or whatever the equivalent is, that they are very keen to have a consistent set of rules for everything, such that if you're a player in Endless, you can kind of tell a lot of rules about the level just by looking at it. So, for instance, that's why we have the restrictions on the game's styles, in terms of only desert having wind, for instance, or only the snow themes having slipperiness, etc. That, like, it seems like their whole design philosophy with Mario Maker is they want to convey as much consistent information as they can, and while that does mean that Mario Maker is just inherently going to be less powerful than ROM hacks or even other editor games like, you know, Level Ahead or other games, or Dreams, or, you know, stuff like that. Whoops. Let's pay attention here. That's kind of the trade-off for Mario Maker, right? Is that you're trading power for kind of consistency from the player's perspective. That was actually survivable if we went to that claw and grabbed the next star. I messed up like crazy, but the star timing was actually generous enough that I was able to get through much of that. Anyway, I am a little bit behind on the chat since I'm dodging all this stuff. And did I pick up that star? Yes, I did. Oh, hey, we might actually have this pattern. I didn't see the muncher that was in the bottom claw. I was expecting to be grabbed by the bottom claw at the last stack, and I only saw the muncher once I fell off it. Yeah, I'll catch up on the chat in just a bit when it comes to Mario Maker's feature set. But yeah, we do a little twirl on the coin, we end up with the mole, and then we actually have plenty of flexibility to continue from there. Oops. And yeah, Redbeard in general, I think there is quite a lot in the social features that really could use improvement. I think there's a lot that we still miss about the bookmark site in the original game, for instance. Just in terms of having a lot of level data about things like clear percentages, world records, etc. very publicly exposed, and also just having the ease of use that really would have been a great fit for, you know, people's mobile-driven lifestyles nowadays, but unfortunately we did lose that. And that whole web infrastructure built over the game. Okay, I've just been not gaining enough height in that segment there. And yeah, Chuso, I can totally see, you know, the case for most of what you're saying about customization. I think that's why a lot of people who did kind of come out of things like the Kaizo scene and people who were the really serious veterans in Mario Maker 1, like a lot of them did wind up going to Super Mario World ROM hacks because they would have that flexibility to completely mod it the way they would like and have everything be very unique to their creation rather than being restricted by Nintendo's own internal rule sets. Because my perspective on this is that, like, as somebody who's a puzzle player, one of the things for me that really distinguishes Maker from something like ROM hack is that with Maker levels, I know what the rule set is going to be in terms of what the physical interactions are, what the P-switch timing is, what the bomb timing is, what the door behavior is, etc. And that makes the puzzle genre possible in its current form, if you get my meaning, that you're able to take the rules that you know from one level and apply it to another one. And you're able to kind of follow that in a way that doesn't require trial and error or guessing. And I think that's something that is special about the trade-off that we have with, you know, this official Nintendo content where things work in a very consistent manner across different people's creations. Even if it is more creatively restricted than what you would get with something like ROM hack scene. Yeah, Mail64, I don't even know what troll levels would look like in a ROM hack apart from, you know, sort of isolated trolls that already exist in a ROM hack Kaizo context. Because a lot of figuring out trolls in this game is also about understanding consistent rules and being able to figure out what the editor and the engine are capable of doing. Okay. Whoop, I did not expect to actually get through that slot. I was expecting to get the wall jump there, so that was a bit of a surprise. Yeah, it's sometimes a little bit challenging to track just where I am in the level, but when I can do it, it works out nicely. Also, I totally got stuck there under the muncher. I was trying to get unstuck from under the muncher so I could just proceed through the shortcut. Once again, the shortcut was actually catching me by surprise, because I unintentionally got it. Okay. But at this stage, we're able to understand much of the pattern. Okay. grab this star. And once again, I actually fell in there. So when I do end up on the hidden path, I'm not reacting quickly enough to that unexpected success, and that's leading me into some trouble. Whoops. And yeah, Chusola, it's very true that each of the individual games that were included in Mario Maker have a lot more elements that could be brought in. I mean, it would be fantastic to see stuff like Charge and Chuck. And not only would you see him in Super Mario World, but he would kind of be backported to the other styles and probably have a lot of unique behaviors, since Charge and Chuck has so many variations to begin with. And, you know, where you have Football Chuck and Baseball Chuck and so on. And, whoops. Or Dino Rhino, actually. A lot of people mention Charge and Chuck. I don't see too many people mention Dino Rhino. But Dino Rhino, I think, would be a really interesting enemy to have. Not only because we already have things like fire and ice interactions in this game, but because it's also sort of a two-stage enemy. You know, where you have the big Dino Rhinos and the little Dino Rhinos. They've kind of been a rarity in terms of the Mario series since Super Mario World. I missed a coin. I missed a coin. I'm going to see if I can practice this additional segment, even though I'm hoping to redo this so we can get the coin. I just want to practice this bit with a star here so we understand what we're doing. Okay, so I actually am consistently getting the Secrets path. Maybe we should just plan around the expectation that I'll get the speed path there. Let's just plan to get the speed path there, because that's happening every single time at this stage. I might as well just take it intentionally. Yeah, I can see why 3D World was kind of implemented as its own unique style, but it was done so in ways that I think weren't necessarily intuitive. It's clear to me that it was kind of following its own engine and its own physics rule set in terms of how things like object collisions in particular were being handled. But I think anybody who played 3D World does find it strange that the game with Goomba stacking in this style doesn't have Goomba stacking, or enemy stacking of any sort, so... Okay, we're actually getting pretty far into this. It's just that occasionally we are running into some visibility issues. It's kind of like... You know what this is? This is a snow level, and it is like you're playing through a blizzard, where the main issue is just the visibility. And there we go. And understanding where to twirl is going to get me through much of this. I don't need to wait for this star to come all the way down quite like that. Oh, we're missing too much here. Oh, I see how that works. I didn't look at the way that Flying Star was actually spawned because I just never had any time to read the mechanism, but now I see how it's set up. Oops. Yeah. Okay, there we are. And I missed. Yeah, I'm glad with 3D World at least that they finally implemented single blocks for on-off switches. Even when they implemented P-blocks, like until they had P-blocks in 3D World, there was no way to do a state-dependent bottomless pit. And of course, once they Finally added the single tile on-off block stay. Finally made that possible, and of course we started planning around the possibility of getting into the shortcuts path, and that is precisely when I started failing at that. There is so much going on here. Okay. I think I can see my own positioning here, and I missed a star. A little bit low. And Mail64 with a one-way paths that are not interactable by the player. Yeah. Yeah, in general, just a lot more flexibility for that stuff. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what is done with the 3D world style in a future Maker 3. But the thing you should all be asking yourselves with Maker 3, to be totally pessimistic about it, is what is Nintendo going to break that no longer works the same way it does in Maker 2, or is missing from going from Maker 2 to 3, that makes Maker 2 levels difficult to port over? You know there's going to be something, and it's going to be something really, really annoying, right? In the way that we lost stuff that we didn't even think about in Maker 1, with things like the enemy stacking logic, or with pipe stacking, or any of that stuff, or the mystery mushroom for that matter. Like, there's so much stuff that we actually lost from Maker 1 that going into Maker 2, a lot of people didn't even think would be missing, right? So the question is, what is going to be deleted from Maker 2 that's going to break everybody's stuff? Whoops. Oh, I think the Super World system is going to be rebuilt from the ground up. I do not think it will stay in its present form. It's very clearly a bit of an afterthought, and I think it's going to be in for a ground-up redesign by the time we eventually get to Maker 3. I think whatever replaces the Super World is going to be in at launch eventually, because it's just too important a demand, in the same way that things like checkpoints and key doors were in the first game. You know, something that needed to be there anyway, and that's the way it is. But I really do wonder what Maker 3 is going to remove. Yeah, Mang, I was thinking that like it would be a very Nintendo kind of mistake if they did something like massively expand the parts limit without actually expanding the buildable space that you have, which would then break a lot of entity limit tricks that require a lot of space to build, like with, you know, placing 100 one-way panels and stuff like that. Whoops. Or other changes that would, you know, for example, break a lot of the global music tech, which is, I think, still the most interesting thing from a technical perspective that has come in Maker 2. Like, global music is absolutely crazy. I think it's just one of those things in this game that, you know, if you're not that aware of it, you kind of wouldn't be aware of how much of a defining element of the game it is. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that we rely on in Maker 2 that, from a technical perspective, is pretty fragile in terms of depending on stuff that we can't necessarily count on Nintendo keeping. I've been going too early for that star now. I'm bumping my head. We're so close to the end. Okay. Let's go down. Yeah, one purely cosmetic thing that I would appreciate having in a future Maker game is just more variations on things like the one-tile spikes, the way that the water theme in SMP3 has the jellyfish, right? Basically, the game needs more Mario elements like that to kind of cover for how out of place things like the spikes and indeed one-way panels look. Whoops. Thank you for the follow. This is a disaster. So we finally made it in that slot, only for the star power to run out. Nope. Didn't want to spin there. I was trying to twirl, and I just did a spin when it was still on the surface. And yeah, Hyustwui, if I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Happy day to you as well. Yeah, we've been on this one for a while, but it's actually felt like a pretty smooth experience. Like, I don't feel like it's necessarily that difficult. We're just in need of some very minor adjustments near the end. I've been making good progress. Okay, no. I was hoping to get in the shortcut that time. That was not the case. We just need to... If I twirl going into that star, then I can at least guarantee, I think, that I get high enough to not deal with the unexpected shortcut path. There are a lot of places in this level where you're expected to figure out that you're supposed to twirl. And I like that element of it. I like not being instructed to do that and having to understand some of that spacing myself as I make my own adjustments. Oh, that's my first time getting over that jump, so I didn't really know how to read it. I have to slide down the left side and wall jump over to the mole. That's clearly the way to do it. That was my first time actually making it over that, so I didn't actually know what to do yet until we had a chance to proceed. Yeah, clear pipes with branching, that would be amazing. Or clear pipes that had a bit more of that interactivity that they did in the original game in 3D World. I mean, a lot of stuff that is made with clear pipes in this game often depends on a property that absolutely nothing interacts with each other in clear pipes, and or even some fairly esoteric loading rules. Yeah, we go mole to mole. We had to go very quick on that mole because otherwise we'll get dunked by munchers. We go through both moles and then that gets us to coin number 8. We're almost done. We're almost done. That's the last real coin before the presumptive safety, so we just need to get some of the spacing fixed up, and we'll be out of here soon. Nope. I didn't expect to get a spin there. I was trying to twirl. I didn't expect to hit the wall. That was the issue. We're very close. And Nuclear Stomp, thanks for the level. We'll hopefully get to you and everybody else soon enough. For anybody new to the queue, our usual order is to go between next and sub next. It's mostly just straight down the queue. We don't actually have too many active subs at the moment, so... I do not really observe a strict time limit. It depends on how well I'm progressing in a level, and the fact that we're progressing well in this one is why I've been pushing against it. Why they didn't add clear pipe branching, I think there are a couple of challenges with that. First, you would need to define a consistent behavior for how other objects interact with the branching, in terms of whether they always pick a consistent path or have a consistent priority to them. And basically, you know, if you have projectiles, enemies, etc. spawn on the map, how do they interact with the branch? Secondly, there's the UI problem of finding an elegant way to do branches into the interface, which you can probably do with just placeable junction pieces, I think. Like, it wouldn't work with the kind of current drag to extend approach that they have to building pipes, but if you kind of treated them like track junctions where you just had a separate placeable piece entirely, maybe that would work. Nope. Once again, I'm spinning into that wall. I don't want to do that. I probably want to slide down that wall and then twirl over to the next wall. We're really, really close. Nope, miss. Redbeard says, seems like many things that were dropped from Maker 2 were things that clashed with ideas they were adding. Yeah. I think one thing, I mean, people mention multiplayer a lot when it comes to that because of the way that, you know, multiplayer boxes off the introductory set of tiles and also kills a lot of the mystery mushroom possibilities. But one thing that I think people don't talk about enough is the fact that they were rethinking the entire editor interface from scratch to be something that would work just as well with a controller, or just as powerfully with a controller, rather. I stalled too long when I missed a mole. I was trying to get down to the mole and I just couldn't get a good position for that. In terms of the editor interface, I think that's something important, because when you think about how things like the old semi-solid stacking or centering tricks or whatever actually worked, it's pretty touchscreen dependent in terms of, you know, nudging a piece here and there and clicking a piece here and there to kind of get things to work. Like, you can emulate it through buttons, but it's inelegant, and like, it seems like we lost a lot of the feature set when it came to things like semi-solid stacking because of a streamlining that had the button interface in mind. I think that's the way to put it. I mean, you could still keep a lot of that stuff in Mario Maker 1 as is. It would just be like very fidgety for people who are not editing with stylus. And yeah, it's sort of interesting though, that the clarity of certain things, like the behavior of objects that spawn underneath a horizontal trampoline, for instance, like, they actually became less clear and more esoteric in Maker 1. We missed a star. We're so close with this one. And Meng's Battle Royale proposal is something to consider. Speaking of which, for Splatoon 3 so far, they've only been showing off the modes that are returning from previous games. Like, they haven't actually shown off new modes yet. They've shown off the, you know, Turf War, the Salmon Run, the campaign, etc. But you know there's probably going to be something new. And given current market conditions and given the time frame over which Splatoon 3 has been developed, I think it would be a missed opportunity not to have something called a Splattle Royale. Okay, let's grab this and go down. Depending on how much ink the engine can handle on the screen, though, I mean, you can't necessarily coordinate a huge amount of players in that game without having an elegant way to handle connection issues, although I guess that's no worse than how Battle Royales usually work when it comes to disconnections. But Splatoon has never really handled disconnections that gracefully to begin with, so... And the larger the parties, the bigger the problem that becomes. Oh, come on. Yeah, a bit of RNG there as I blocked every projectile that was going to lower the Muncher for me. Yeah, I guess, Meng, that's true. That would literally be a Squid Game. I still know practically nothing about the Korean Squid Game show except that A, it's a battle royale, and B, it has nothing to do with Splatoon. But that would really come full circle, that it would be a Squid Game. Alright, come on. Let's get this sorted out. We're so close, and we have been so close for a while now. Nope. I've dumped. Once again, that was supposed to be a mid-air twirl. I did it too soon, and so that was something that registered as a spin jump, which I did not want. But I have a very clear intended path for almost everything in the level. Like, we're well past the stage of having to figure anything out. And so it's just pure execution at this point. And hopefully not running into issues. Nope, too soon. Yeah, the issue there was that on one of my previous attempts, on several of my previous attempts, the Muncher just took forever to drop because all the projectiles were either nullified or just out of position. And so that's maybe the one bit here that I'm still kind of struggling with. Like, maybe the one place where it feels like I'm fighting against a level. And there is a consistent answer to that. The consistent answer is to take the lower shortcut path, but I can't do it that successfully, so... Yeah, as you can see, you know, I'm also misreading when the Muncher is going to unlock. And yeah, Luca, this is a very unique kind of challenge. It's funny because visually it almost feels like a refreshing level, doesn't it? Where it's almost a bitrate test to deal with all the things that are going on the screen. And yeah, Mel64, speaking of Game of Thrones, all I could think of when Elden Ring came out last week was that the last time George R.R. Martin released a novel, Dark Souls 1 had not yet been released. And that is astonishing to think about. It's funny because I don't even consider Martin that slow a writer, considering... I mean, okay, he has been for the most recent book, but, you know, even before then, something like a 4 or 5 year gap was pretty understandable, considering how much material he's dealing with and how long his books are, right? I mean, I've been accustomed to waiting 4 or 5 years for successive novels from authors that are not nearly as long-winded. Most recent wait, okay, I can give you that. That's been maybe a little outrageous, but I haven't actually read the series since number 3 anyway. I read the original 3 back when there were only 3, and I realized, you know what, I'll just wait for him to finish. I don't like these that much that I'll follow every volume, because I'll just, you know, forget what's going on by the time I get to the next one. And by now, A, I think I've probably lost interest, and B, I don't actually think he's going to finish. Okay, so I knew that if I were going on top of the second muncher that I had to go through this middle path here. The problem was that I didn't have my follow-up planned up for if I took the lower path. Yeah, my understanding was book 4 and 5 were kind of split from a plan for what was supposed to be originally one novel, right? To be honest, I barely watched anything in the show either. I've watched precisely, I think maybe 5 minutes of the HBO Game of Thrones, and they were the last 5 minutes. Like, I've actually seen the ending, not because I was trying to spoil myself or deliberately watch the ending or something like that, but because I basically just walked in on a friend who was watching it when it first released. And so I know how the show ends. Quite by accident. Okay, that's the closest attempt yet. We fell a little bit short of the claw because I was trying to avoid the wall that is over that claw. That's the ending. I mean, if we just landed on that claw properly, we're pretty much finished. Whoops. And we got dunked. And yeah, that is the end. Santi Gaming Man, how's the queue actually small here? Because people understand that I take a while, and that sometimes, you know, if I'm really struggling on a level, we will naturally have a few people drop out because they're unable to stay. But for anybody new here, my usual rule is that I will get through everybody who submits before the queue closes, if you are able to stay. Sometimes it's a wait that can be several hours, hopefully it's not. Also, in general, queues have been getting smaller in this game, I think, relative to viewer counts, because makers in general have slowed down, even makers who are still very active in this game. And part of it is that some people have some burnout, or they've been playing other games, or if they're experienced makers, they've been making more and more elaborate creations, or working on super worlds, or doing things like that. And so there are enough people here who are regulars on my stream that remarkably I'm actually getting through their stuff faster to make it some of the time. I'm beginning to fall behind again, but yeah, from the streamer's side, you can really see week to week what the current level of traffic or interest in Mario Maker is like. And there is still a lot of interest. This is not a dead game or anything, but... Okay, I'm still not doing that adjustment properly. I'm trying to twirl out of it, but I just haven't gotten the curve down because of the wall over the claw. But yeah, it's definitely slowed down. There have been a lot of makers who have been kind of taking this as an off-season, even if they are still interested in the game. And it happens. Like, these things come and go. I think Maker 2 is at the point where it has narrowed down to a lot of people who are dedicated to it in the long term. And so you don't see as much in the way of new casual makers anymore. And so, you know, that's going to affect the submission rate that we have. We have a checkpoint here. I don't know why. Maybe to prevent timeout. Let's take the top of the flag. Oh, no, no, it's the pipe at the end. It's the pipe. I missed it, didn't I? Isn't that the hard mode pipe? I didn't even look at the blue pipe. That's okay, Luca, because we've been on this one for a while, and... Yeah, I've missed an additional segment, I think, that was supposed to be in the subworld. Luca, if you want to see the subworld segment... Oh, it's a cake, okay. I'm not going to redo it right now, but Luca, remind me at some point, if I'm doing a catch-up stream or something like that, to look for that cake. Yeah, I just skipped right over that pipe. Well, and... You know, there was a checkpoint there that should have made me stop and think, is this the beginning of a bonus hard mode segment, right? So, my mistake. So, it's kind of a win, but not really. I'll need to jot this down because the fact that I've cleared this level makes me think that I'll probably forget that I still had something unfinished to do with it. But anyway, Luca, remind me sometime. And thank you for the patience of everybody waiting in queue. Like I said, I'll try to get through everybody who is in the list. This time, can I try destroying the level with Spike and Shelmet? Yeah. Let's take a look at it. That requires me to keep that stuff, of course. I remember getting the Shelmet last time. Yes, that's right. And... we'll see what we can do. So, some people from previous weeks, you would have seen this on the Rock. It is a kind of multi-path adventure level where we've been playtesting it for the potential logical issues. But the fact that it's been a week means that I also don't remember where a lot of stuff is, so we'll gradually work our way back in. And Spike Ball, I don't remember if the Spike Ball is related to that path, but we'll remove that. Ah, yes, okay, and then we need to eventually break through this stuff in order to get to the green pipe. I understand that. Now, I don't know if I've already blown my chance at that, given that I did lose the mushroom, but let's see what's over here. Yeah, everything's just gonna bust open. And... oh no, Shelmet is down here, okay. But it's not a spike helmet, so we can't break through. But yeah, Luca will look at that at some point. It's unfortunate that I didn't get to show it off, even though I did take the time to do the coin path. So yeah, the green pipe at the start is the thing that we didn't interact with, but unless I had a way to break things below it, I don't see... actually, no, I think it was just a spawner for the additional spike ball that it gave me. Yeah, and there's no spike helmet. Okay, so I misunderstood what you said earlier. This is a multiple location. We have to keep in mind that power-ups are likely to be progressive, and so I need to not take too many hits. I already had taken a hit earlier, but there was just a mushroom that was available in the first zone, so I don't think that affected too much. Oh yeah, and there's a particular exit or bonus here that I keep missing that's in the area past where you push the Shelmet through the icicles. Like that, I know I've kind of failed at a couple of times. Whoops. Yeah, as a rule, only progressive if it's in a question block. That's pretty understandable. Well, okay, we'll just take it out that way. Yeah, I can, but why would I? Bicycles, okay. There's a path to the left as well if we drop all of this stuff. No, it's not a path, it's just a series of semi-solids. Now here's the thing. Okay, so yeah, you do protect against that because otherwise the semi-solid would create locking issues. Understandable. And then this area up here. We can block off the ice. Once again, is kind of anti-top of the semi-solid protection. That seems to be what's going on. This is just a standard exit though, right? So did I already miss the thing that you were asking me to see? Because you wanted me to destroy the level with a spike and a shellmet. Oh, I understand what you mean now. Like, if I grabbed a shellmet and just push the spike balls around in the first section. So do you want me to start over to test that? Because that looks like it's a first section thing. And yeah. Okay, no, I just didn't understand what you meant by that until I went through more of this. Okay, I get it. Yeah, because you want me to basically blow things up by using the shellmet to push the spike balls. Yeah, okay, I get it. And yeah, Santa, you were right about that. The queue actually is more reasonable than usual. But because there have been some times lately when it has been unmanageable. Okay, yeah, let's go down and grab the spike helmet first. If we can, it's going to rely on some of these pathways opening up. Yeah, first thing that comes to mind is whether this location could potentially be anything useful, but we'll try to smash things up and see how well defended they are before we go through any one-way gates. Okay, so let's say we smash that up and yeah, what if we rolled it to the right? Then it would be able to spawn this way. It's going to bounce back from the trampolines, though. I'm hoping to bust through the right side column. That's the thing that I would like to show off. And it is doable, I think, because you can get the spike ball to spawn towards me here if it's already gone. Yeah, so let's say we get a spike ball here, and then we can bump it up from here. I'm pretty sure. Maybe that's an intended secret. But it occurs to me that there is the possibility of the blaster dropping somewhere. Oh yes, okay, and then this could potentially break as well, and then what happens there? Oh, this just gives you a straight shortcut then, I guess, if you decided to juggle a spike ball all the way over. If it is in fact doable, which it should be. Yeah, because there's the whole maze down here as well. Let's... Gotta catch it on this side. And then this allows me to smash things with the bomb, which doesn't actually get me anything, except if I came back here and I respawn the bomb. No, that doesn't do much either. Unless I, you know, used a super ball to try to suspend it like this, but you can might as well just use a spike ball to break that if you want to do something that fancy. Let's go back and we'll try it. We also haven't broken anything over to the left, but I think we'd already seen what we needed to over there, knowing that the pipe doesn't spawn anything. So for example, let's say we smash all that, and then can we chase it? Almost. Additional Shelmet over here, and then nothing here is going to break. Okay, so it looks like you specifically wanted to wall off this side, and a 50 coin is a bonus for doing this path to its utmost extent. Super Ball doesn't interact with fire, obviously. We will then proceed. I don't know if there's anything else. We'll try to flow through the rest then. I think it's faster to use the normal path, yeah, but nice to have something like that respond to the player, as always. But yeah, this segment, like I said previously, there was one thing that I have a bit of trouble with, and the fact that we kept the Super Ball means that I can do that, which is great. Yeah, let's get down here. And then, yeah, the only other thing is if having previously broken those blocks affects any kind of positioning, but the only thing that I think it would affect, like when you re-enter the same zone, is that bomb that was tucked into the ice blocks. Oh, I lost a Shelmet, and so I can't bust through that bomb. Okay, that's very unfortunate. And mic drop, thank you for the level drop. Whoops, bumpers, have to remember that they go through. Let's beat this, and we did the whole P-switch head bump here previously, so we've seen that we don't need to necessarily do that twice, unless it's something that was changed. I don't think it was. Yeah. Oops. Yeah, let's just bump it. Wasn't there a Shelmet back in the pipe? Good question. Hang on. 3 more Shelmets. Yeah, I mean, we also broke open the Shelmet that was on the right side of the Spike Ball segment, which I guess is just hedging against, you know, taking damage from the Cheap Cheeps or something silly like that. Come on. Juggling this guy. Oh, and it's just gonna lie still. Okay, that's fine. I guess we'll do it the normal way. Yeah, because previously we had seen this. Also, this stuff here on the left side with the snake block. I don't know if I've ever seen that, in fact. I don't know if I'd actually played at that location. Anyway, I think we had done the top path previously, and Shelmet down here. Right, because I was trying to catch that donut and it totally doesn't work. Ah, yes, and there's the bit here that I always gonna die to. Yeah, here you kind of have to understand something about the timing, because the idea is that you have to keep the Super Ball in order to bust through this gate here and get the boot, which... Let's see. And yeah, CC Zuki, you're going to be a little far back in the queue, but hopefully you'll be able to stay long enough for me to get to you, and we'll be glad to take a look at your speedrun. And... yeah, I could tell that it's timing to refresh. I'm just not good at doing that. I know that it's supposed to be keeping the helmets as the icicle respawns, so you land on top of it safely. But that doesn't mean we did it. We, in fact, specifically did not. Oh, I have 14 seconds. I'm gonna hit timeout here. And C. Suzuki, you made it top 5 weekly. Congratulations. Looking forward to your creation. Oh, here's a red pipe. Have I seen this? Yes, I have. This area here. Okay. And Quality Humor, welcome. And you're saying that's new. Okay, we'll try to go back to that red pipe section then, because maybe I hadn't successfully entered it previously. And we can go directly towards it here, in fact, which might be at least somewhat interesting. Yeah, the spawn is going to happen very quickly there. We don't have much time to be blocking anything. Whoops. Oh, whoops. Should have seen that coming. Okay. Nope. Bad idea. I will probably die if I try to go for red pipe again, but we'll go for the red pipe again and see if we can time anything here carefully. Oh hey, I actually entered that as the fish was poking out. That was special. Okay. Sneak past. There's a whole stack of 1-ups to the left. Whoa. Nope. You're not happy with the timing with the cannons launching. Yeah, they're in very close proximity. We need to stop taking damage there. That's rather silly. I actually don't know if I can do that red pipe entry the way I did twice. That was an extremely close call. But the thing is, if you have all the dry bones alive and on screen and still kind of scrolling across, that's the best way to do it, because the pipe will spawn up to 3 at a time, I think, and then it slows down. If we can get a Shelmet, that's much better. Let's do that as described. And then take the same path over. I do want to see the red path here since this is new material. Would I change Luigi to another character? And why would I? What, just giving Luigi a day off, or...? Ah, okay, you want me to change to the Green Ghost Boy. Let's do that. Well, that's how to do it. Now, having the helmet here trivializes this section, which is great. Notice the star. Whoops, having the helmet, as I said, would be useful, but we're going to get another one. And we're also going to get a star. Okay, let's go quickly. Nope, this is telling me something important. Star didn't really seem to get me very much, but I guess we just weren't very quick about it. Have we ever seen a top of the flagpole in this level? I don't know if we have. Because there's the 1-up path over there. Yeah, there's definitely still material that I have not seen, at least in the current version. Green Boy is going to kick in with the next level. Thank you for the GG. Always fun to go through these and see new material that we haven't looked at previously. So, let's mark that as a win. And let's move on. Choose solo. If you are still here, please check it. And yeah, the green man is going to be active momentarily as we punch in this code. Type Shenanigans, featuring boomerangs, cannons, and spike balls. Speaking of all the clear pipes that we were talking about earlier, let's take a look at their current implementation in Maker 2 as Luigi. Okay, spike ball is going to come in and we're going to go around it. I will take that as a warning shot. The fact that I took it as a warning shot did not preclude me from dying because I wasn't paying attention to the red pipe. So you're supposed to go through when the spike ball is going through. Hence the kind of lack of collision inside pipes that we were talking about previously. Yeah, this kind of maneuver I've done in a couple of different pipe levels before. Interesting. We've got some beef blocks coming up. It's almost like a Canadian level. A. Oh, E for easy, H for hard. We're going hard. And then boomerang. Okay. Up we go. And then that's going to be timed. Let's go through here. Whoops, almost. Oh, okay, and it's going to be death here, so yeah, that's fine. That's fine. We'll do it. Yeah, no, I was just a little slow reacting to where I was supposed to go. We will, of course, take this path first. This is a neat little bully gate here. We're going to completely blow the timing because I'm not accounting for my jump. There we go. Also notice, by the way, it's not going to be useful to us here, but the fact that you can bump the boomerang, I was hoping to bump it in such a way that I could maneuver it to the other pipe, but it's not going to happen. That would be some pretty obscure cheese. There we go. Yeah, I've seen one memorable puzzle level that actually uses the boomerang placement. Anyway, we need to hit the on-off switches first, and then we need to slap this through. Yeah, actually, we need the Koopa to bounce back and forth towards the on-off switches. I think it needs to be a toggle. Let's do this. Do it like that. Oh yeah, we have to slap this in because of the slope, precluding me from going through. I was trying to whip the Koopa with the boomerang. I think if we get it into the right side here... No, we can't because it's the screen edge. Yeah, because if you... No, it doesn't look like there's going to be a way to do it. Because there's some interesting stuff that you can manipulate if you knock out the Koopa with a boomerang instead. Oh, whoops. That is not quite a timing I'm going for. Let's see here. There we go. There we go. Needed a little bit of trial and error perhaps, but we got it. We need to... Oh, this is interesting. While we can take damage as a gate here, I don't know if that makes sense, but I think it's required. Looks like it is a damage gate. Long enough to ensure that you get reset back to small for the checkpoint. After playing a lot of Maker 1, you know, I've been getting accustomed to seeing damage gates, just not in this game. Notice that there were 2 blue pipe exits, partly because the other one must have been from the easy path. And yeah, Santi the Gaming Man, you totally understand the spirit of Lurk Command. You totally get it. We need to jump smoothly so we don't just run into every single block like a wall. Solo, you were telling me I could go in myself. Wasn't quite sure what you meant by that. But I guess I read your message when I was already looking at a totally different pipes. Okay, so we do have to be quick about this. And yeah, I can see rationale for the damage gate here. I'm going a little bit too slowly here, though. This is going to be tricky. Now, interestingly enough, this is already when the easy and hard paths have merged, right? Like looking at these 2 pipes here. It would be interesting as somebody who takes the easy path to run into this thing here. Because it is something that, even for somebody coming from the hard path, is going to take a bit more finesse than what I'm showing. Oh, for the boomerang section with the Koopa. Okay, I see. We should actually get on top of the block and maybe... No, it's not really the spacing for a long jump, I don't think. But we can try something like that. Like get on the block. With 1 tile available? No, I don't... I mean, get on the block and then try to long jump across, but... I don't think that'll work. For a number of reasons. Because when you start with that 1 tile ceiling... Yeah, you can't trigger it because you need some headroom. So let's rethink that. Completely. Yeah, we're just slow. Okay, there we go. And I missed, because vertical pipe entries are just going to be like that. But yeah, coming from the hard zone, this is something that flows pretty naturally. Coming from the easy zone, you could see it potentially being a bit of a shock. And it's easy to forget if you're somebody who just doesn't take the easy path like me, right? I mean, I don't even know what the easy path looks like, but I would assume that it's going to be a big step up to this area here. But that's the only consideration. I thought that was pretty neat. The boomerang section and the spike ball section, like I know you've got the damage gates separating them. In some ways, they almost feel like 2 separate levels, apart from the shared property of the pipes and the spike balls. Simply because you're kind of resetting your interactions from scratch. I don't mind that too much. That's not really a complaint or anything. I'm just sort of observing that there's a very clear first half, second half to it. So yeah, that's the only thing is that, like, with the branching idea, I think maybe that would affect the approach to the difficulty curve a bit, perhaps. But not a big deal. And thank you so much for submitting that, Ju Solo. And for the GGs from everyone in chat. And Sons and Papyrus Heya. If you'd like to check in, we will bring you in a moment. We'll see if they are still listed as being online. I believe yes. So for people who might have stepped out or gone lurking, I usually just bump them back one spot. And just rotate to the next person if they're not checking in a reasonable time. And so we're fairly lenient about that, like we usually give people a second chance before I actually bump them from the queue, unless they've completely logged off. So since we're not getting a check-in, I'm going to call King Brock. And we'll do a second and final call for Sans and Papyrus later on. Legend of Brigada, 1 castle, and this is version 3, so still something that's very freshly updated as recently as the end of January. My boy, I wonder who stole one of my fortresses and my dinner. Do you know? I have my suspicions. And Zamatez, thank you for submitting the Grand Cave. We'll hopefully get to that before too long. Okay, we could have just rushed under this, but also I'm looking at the upper level there and wondering how I could access it, because I don't think it's possible from where I am currently, but I wasn't paying attention to how that might have been reachable much earlier on, so let's get the Goom Split. The coins are going to denote where the fire is going to spawn, which is something that I kind of have to watch out for here, because the temptation is to just go straight for the coins mindlessly. And Captain Redbeard, you got a new escape room in the works. Yeah, I still have to catch up on a few of yours. But now that I'm finished with a big chunk of what I was doing in Mario Maker 1, I'm hoping to get back to a lot of Maker 2 puzzles again, and so hopefully we'll devote some streams to a few of your older creations. And glad to hear you have finally found some time, Redbeard, to work on new escape rooms again. I know you've been extremely busy due to various personal events. Sure, let's go for this over here. So yeah, thanks for coming by. Zamatez, you were asking me what kind of, what area of Mario levels I enjoyed the most. Well, anything that shows off interesting ideas for what you can do with the editor. Sometimes they can be platformers, sometimes they can be puzzles, but basically I like talking about level design and interesting maker tricks, and so on this stream we definitely appreciate it when makers come up with creative combinations and various gimmicks. And yeah, King Brock Roy's our boy. And yeah, it's still gonna get the chomp out here. Anyway, we can actually fire this at Ellawood's dad over there. For those of you familiar with Fire Emblem 7, or the original Fire Emblem as it was released, the first one released in the West on GBA. The one with Roy, I believe, has not actually been officially localized into English. One with Roy is Fire Emblem 6, which is, I think, the Binding Blade, or whatever it's localized as now. As Zamatez, the level you submitted is basically a fan ninja. Yeah, that's great. I don't know how hard we'll push the speed record on that, but Anyway, we were missing fire here, so we couldn't get Yoshi or the 50 coin, and too bad, so sad for me. I guess the idea would be that if you have Yoshi, you would be able to come here and grab fire, and also... Well, I mean, if you're grabbing Yoshi in the first place, you already have fire, so... That hammer is going to try to surprise us. And look at that whole assortment of enemies just going to drop in with the thwomps at the very end. Anyway, thank you for that, King Brock. Looking forward to World 2. Let me make sure we don't have any subs waiting. I don't think we did. So we'll go on to make a second call for Sands of Papyrus. This is the second and final call. I will remove them. There's no check-in, and then go on to Hyustui. We'll just go down the list that you see there. And we're getting through some of these at a decent pace after a slow start, so I am not going to close right this minute. We'll have some additional time for submissions. I used to run this stream in a much later time slot, so you know, we occasionally have some early morning viewers from EU like to come in a bit later on. Hyustui, I think, is long gone, but we'll check this just in case. And yeah, Santi, I always ask for a check-in in chat. Because sometimes people do literally fall asleep while watching my stream, which, well, you can make any inferences you want about the experience of watching this channel. Oh, you're here. Okay, sorry about that. I removed your code. That's okay, we'll punch it in. Sorry, it just won't appear on the bot, but I will play your level. Thank you for that. Il est né le divin enfant. Okay. He was born the divine child, I guess. Like the holy child. Que votre dirigeant vous bénisse au nom de Mère, du Fils et son esprit. Okay. I'm considering translating that, which I can do. I read a bit of French. I've actually been playing Breath of the Wild in French lately. Finally started that on the 5th anniversary. But let's see if we know the song. This is a music level. Happy. Are we now? Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so if we face away, then the Boo moves the Clown Car and the Blaster, and it locks off the key door. So it looks like in order to reach the key door, this is a never face right level, if I understand that correctly. Let's see what's in the block. It looks like this is tied to a coin. Yeah, so we need to never face right. If we don't face right, then I think we need to bump into this spring over here. And that if we bump into the spring, then theoretically we would be able to move into this location. Moving into this location allows me to do what? Yeah, wall jump is going to be a facing maneuver, so that's going to move me backwards. Yeah, let's see, because there's going to be a particular trick such that I can maintain this facing position and reach the block that raises Yoshi, perhaps. It's not going to be that. Actually, I don't know about the wall slide in terms of how it affects the booze detection. Like if you're on a wall slide, which way does it think you're looking? Mail64, you've got to go, yeah. Thank you for coming by, and thank you for the submission once again. Notice that when you spawn in, you are already facing right, but Boo doesn't chase. The Boo just starts in its initial location. But it would chase, I think, if you moved from the initial frame. So I think we need to get bumped by this thing, and then jump as we are heading to the left column, or the right column, rather. And then have enough momentum to do that. And the nuclear stomp, yeah, you're going to be next after this one, I believe. So you can actually face right very briefly in this level. And still have the key door available. It's just that you would lose access to the 1-up. So it looks like you're able to like face right for, you know, 1 frame at some point. Probably for the wall jump, in fact, that you would need that for. Because the idea is to make the wall jump up to Yoshi and see how to proceed from there. Yeah, because I'd want to jump this. Also, if you're really quick, you can get up on that ledge without moving the Boo, I think. Yeah, so you can bump up like that. And then you would need to wall jump all the way to the top. Get under the one-way panel, which is going to be really, really precise, and then hit Yoshi from under there. Okay, so you kind of need to spam to jump there, and then wall jump off to right. Yeah, once you wall jump, that changes the facing direction. But the idea, let's try to just show you what happens when I don't totally engage with the mechanic. You kind of need to spam this. Actually, maybe a spin there is a better idea. Yeah, because I'm trying to get a wall jump that will get me over to the right side block. That's a really tight spacing. Yeah, you can do it, but you have to react immediately to hit Yoshi. Unless there's something else I'm supposed to do to make that possible. I don't think so. I can't quite see what that would be. Unless the idea is that you need to... Is there any other way to manipulate the on-off switch? Because I'm thinking that, like, maybe if we were able to place the trampoline somehow... No. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it's face left to get bounced back here. Boo in the clown car is very cute. It's also obstructing the exit, though. We'll see, because if I can't execute this move, I will not really be able to get through the level, but we can kind of map it out mentally to see what's going on. We don't know what's going to spawn under the block where Yoshi is located, of course. Looks like that's a side thwomp. That's interesting. Because if you get within range of the side thwomp, then that's going to hit the on-off switch. Santi the Gaming Man, you are going to complete a task. Yeah, good luck with that. Yeah, because the current issue is I don't know how to hit the block under Yoshi, and that seems to be the only way to progress. So, or at least you need to get into that slot that's under that block, because then you would be within side block range. And then you would have the on-off activates. I don't see a P-switch yet, but a P-switch, for all I know, could potentially pop up under one of the blasters. Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't know if I can actually execute the maneuver here, because even if we figure out what to do, that could be an issue. Notice, when you spawn in, the Boo is facing right and open, but it does not chase you from your initial position coming out of the door. That's actually really important information because it means we can get here right away. And then if you don't change directions, you can actually... Oh, in fact, the Boo isn't even reacting to me at all here. If we don't go too far, then we're actually fine. We don't need to worry about the facing direction as long as we don't get within Boo range. Yeah, so notice that once you get over to this column, then you start interacting with the Boo, and then it hides away from you. But in the initial position, if you stay out of range on this side, the Boo does not respond to you yet. And so you can jump for as long as you need up this wall jump in order to pop Yoshi, without having to deal with that initial interaction. So we may as well go back there and just try to spam the jump to see if that's going to get me anything. Yeah, notice that, yeah, if we stay on the right side of the door, we're fine. But once we get within range of the Boo, it is going to be a level that requires me to face left the whole time. Yeah, but I don't currently know how that bit with Yoshi is going to work. It might be that that's not actually the first interaction. But it seems very much like I want to activate that Thwomp. That we are very close to doing so. I just don't know if I can make this jump, that's all. Because you would wall jump over to the right side, you would need to wall jump immediately to the left. And then the one-way panels would do their work. I don't see anything else that I can interact with. There is the stump that's over the bomb that we can't do anything with because we don't have the space. We'll see, because if I can't make this jump, I may have to bail from the level. Because you have to be very quick about reacting to the wall jump coming out the right side. And meanwhile, I'm just reading the rest of it to see if there's something else that we can manipulate here. Like if we jump up the middle, try to get through that slot. Yeah, like if you do a spin jump over here, like jump through the middle, do a spin jump. And I'm just trying to spam it at this point to try to get through. Let's try to start over. Looks like this is a leftover Christmas level almost. Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to spam the jump as much as I can. Whoops, we were within the activation range. Yeah, so we're able to get to the left side, it's just I'm not able to change direction quickly enough. Yeah, because I just can't get the wall jump under Yoshi, so... Let's take a look at the main screen. Just to see I mean, there's obviously going to be the music tracks. Let me just take a look to see what else we may be potentially missing. Joyeux Noel, yeah, this is a Christmas level, hence the song title pertaining to the birth of Christ. It looks like there are actually 2 separate rooms to deal with here, with a 4-minute record. And, oh, Chris, CPFG cleared it. That's somebody I recognize. So maybe it's something precision-oriented. I mean, it is something precision-oriented. Judging by the look of this, clear check time is 2:14. Surprisingly high clear rate, though, so maybe we're just missing something. Yeah, it could just be a bit of tunnel vision for what's going on with Yoshi there. And that what we need is something completely different. Because there's no way I want the Boo to move, right? Like, I should be thinking about preventing it from moving. Let's see if there's anything else I can interact with here. I mean, is there a reason I would want to activate coins here? I don't see that there is. Nope. Yeah, that's a stunningly high clear rate on this. There's something that looks a bit like a trap here. There's got to be something I'm missing. Because that seems to be a peculiarly difficult jump. Okay, finally got the wall jump on the right side, but it's still too low. Like, we basically need to kind of get a wall jump falling into the one-way panel here and to the top red block on this column. And even so, like, your head would need to be above that one-way panel in order to wall jump off the left side, so... Nope. We will wall jump off the right side and then left. Yeah. Well, I don't know if there's a particular trick to it I'm missing. That seems oddly precise for something that has already been so widely cleared, but... On the other hand, yeah, 2-minute clear check time, 4-minute clear record. Maybe there is nothing other than just pushing through the precision element here, so... If it is pure precision, I think we'll just bail on it, because we'll be dying to the first jump, so I think we'll mark that as a loss for now. Yeah, that was not successful at all. I don't know if we're just missing something really obvious, but let's go on to Nuclear Stomp. Yeah, considering how many clears there are on that, I don't know if everybody else is just a precision specialist or if there was an obvious approach to it that I just totally blanked on. But anyway, here's another obligatory Sky Level, version 2, the sequel to obligatory Sky Level, now starring Piranha Creepers. Let's have fun. And FXR Ichigo, thank you for the submission of Fast Run a few minutes ago. We will likely close the queue after this level, I think. So for people who are still waiting to submit, do consider this level to be last call. Don't get eaten by a giant plant. We're too busy getting eaten by small plants. This is 3D World. I can stop them all I want. I just thought it would be fancy to slide into it. Anyway. Now we're playing in style again. After wiping out of that previous one so embarrassingly. Nope. I'm big. That creates problems. But of course we're going for optional content whenever possible. Even if the mushroom does complicate that somewhat. Could have made that a 30 coin? Well, I mean, I don't know what your scheme is for this. I know a lot of people do sometimes go for, 10, 30, 50 to make it the equivalent of the 3 coins or 3 stars in a lot of the recent Mario games. But whatever works. I mean, I guess, like, if you're kind of gauging it by difficulty, maybe that makes sense to make that a bit more worthwhile. So it looks like we'll have this be the central checkpoint passage. I don't know if it's going to be something optional or just a way of getting the checkpoints lining up with the subworld that you want, but we'll be there soon enough. You put a few too many 30s in here. Well, we'll watch out for those. Let's go for the shroom. Whoops. Yeah, for traditional style levels, I do like to hunt for the optional content. I feel like that's something that Mario Maker doesn't really tend to incentivize, but traditional makers want to do, so. In terms of just having some perfectly meaningless bonus coin or one-up placements here and there that are worth checking. This would be a fun one to speed through. I'm not a speedrunner, really, but the speedrun appeal of this is immediately evident. And here we go. Whoops. That was nearly a massive problem, but we'll try not to land on top of the stem in the middle. That was something that surprised me a lot about the 3D World style. The first time I built it way back when the game released was that you could just die to the stems with the piranhas if you're not careful. Which created a bit of a problem with one of my levels because a place where you were supposed to land safely on top of a piranha at all times looked like a bit of a troll death or an unfair death if you landed on the stem at just the wrong moment. That was something that I just failed to consider. I wouldn't design it the same way now. That was with the first thing that I built in 3D World where I made that mistake. Yeah, let's not get nuked by fire. Interesting placement up there, though, right beside the spike to kind of disincentivize a close approach. I wanted to lead one of the bees over so I could go for the 30 coin and have something to land on. Probably the lower bee. And you were saying it would be cool if you could upload black hole glitches. I mean, I can see why they don't let you, but... And yeah, Sachi the Gaming Man, you can imagine that we're just stomping on Jerry Seinfeld if you Think that makes you feel any better about the massacre of bees that is going on in this level. Whoops. Let's be careful with the stems. SDGML. Nuclear Stomp. Jerry Seinfeld was the voice of the bee in Bee Movie. That's what we're talking about. SDGML is going alright. I hope you've been well. Nice to see you still making and submitting. Oh, let's move this bee over. Nuclear Stomp, it is absolutely real. It was kind of an animated hit in its own right back in the day. I think it's the only major animated voice role by Jerry Seinfeld, if I remember correctly. Oh, that's an interesting thing that you have going on there with stomping the big piranha and having it replaced by the fire piranha down below. Instant regrowth. It did trick me out, but because I was hoping to land back on that red pipe as a safe zone afterwards. And I'm being awfully careless. This level is not nearly as hard as I'm making it look, but... And yeah, aside to the Gaming Man, one thing that I think nobody on the player's side particularly likes about Maker 2 is that the levels that get deleted online do get removed from your core spot locally as well if they're kind of on the same ID and the same save. Because, yeah, I have absolutely no problem, and I don't see why anybody should have a problem with, you know, glitch levels just kind of being privately shared and not being available online for endless or multiplayer players. But clearly Nintendo feels differently about that and sees that as a potential game-breaking issue that is not acceptable. I don't think this is completable at this point, right? Like, did I lock myself? Let's see if we can respawn. We might have a problem. Yeah, unfortunately, the twirl in 3D World doesn't do much to give you extra horizontal distance. And SDGML, hope you've been enjoying your late dinner. And yeah, since it's right next to the checkpoint, it's just death. Yeah, that's what we refer to as a self-destruct lock. It is something that in a traditional level tends to feel a bit awkward because in the sort of traditional Mario format and most other platformers, the designers go out of their way to avoid that, so you don't need to ask yourself if you got yourself stuck. But anyway, like you said, it's right next to the checkpoint. It just feels a little bit weird in traditional levels specifically, even more so than in other styles. Because it is very tempting to just stop this thing, right? And then it would be much less of an issue if you were able to actually go back through the entry pipe. Like, if you're able to just manually respawn a room, then you're not forced to take a death, right? Like, that's probably the only change that's required to make that work. And SDGML, like, reset doors, I think, tend to look clunky to people in the traditional style. So I can see why people avoid reset doors if they can help it. And I can see that this piranha plant is meant to be kind of a non-jumpable obstacle as well because of the way it comes out the side, but I think the best solution is to have the pipe grounded so you can re-enter. Like, I think that is better than a reset door if you want to be serious about keeping a traditional style aesthetic. Yeah, that's the only thing is that, like, self-destruct locks are one of those things that do not feel traditional, I guess, in the same way that, you know, mandatory damage so doesn't quite feel traditional, because so much of the platform design language that we inherit from mainline Nintendo Mario avoids that in the most subtle ways. Yeah. Very minor consideration, though, in what has so far been a pretty fun level. And okay, let's see. These guys have the high ground. Let's see if we can do something about that. Interesting 50 coin. We'll go for that, of course. At great mortal peril. There we go. Very fancy. And let's wait for this one, timing-wise. And miss. Yeah, you basically Nuclear Stomp, you're saying you'd rather consider forcing that to be failure. Yeah, I guess the fact that you can land on the pipe and recover is the main issue there. That, like, if you had something like a one-time platform, like a drop platform or something, or something else that is only usable once, or if you have enough height on this such that you can't actually recover. I mean, you would still need to deal with the fact that the pipe is a safe location. That's the only thing. But there are a couple of ways to make that work, to design it around a mandatory death, I think. Just to make sure the player doesn't have a recovery point, which, with the vertically placed pipe, can be tricky, but we'll deal with it. Oops, that was a mistake. And that was a big hitbox. Yeah, I mean, you know, that's what playtesting is for, in case any of these issues are serious enough that you would consider a version 3. But that's why we test it. Anyway, let's grab this. Whoops. The coins give me plenty of information about where the safe landing locations are. I'm just very bad at following instructions and reading indications of any sort. That's okay. This is salvageable. I should also consider using the twirl jump from time to time. That's honestly much better. Yeah, I mean, if you're playing in 3D World at all as a player, you just kind of deal with the hitboxes. Particularly with things like the piranha stems, the big piranha stems, they can be something that tricks you out. As I was saying, that was not an intentional demonstration, that just happened, but yeah, Nuclear Stomp, as a player, I find that I have a much greater tolerance for length than many other people do, so, you know, you probably shouldn't trust my opinion on it. I'm perfectly fine with it, but I am much more comfortable with long levels than some makers tend to be, so. Whoops. It used to have a second checkpoint, which is why the checkpoint is in a weird spot. Okay. I don't think it's in a weird spot. because there's no ambiguity about where to proceed from there. I mean, sometimes people try to stuff checkpoints in a location. Oh, you mean the checkpoint in the other zone where you have the checkpoints between pipes, right? Yeah, I see what you're saying. And if you kind of wanted it within a segment that was still mostly taking place in the subworld, yeah. Yep, I understand you. Just That's right, let's continue. Whoops. Into places you said where you have floating bouncy mushroom blocks, put semi-solids or something else to keep them from looking bare. Yeah, I mean, you know, sometimes like the visual context can kind of give you an additional clue for reading ahead into level 2, like past where the camera is able to let you go. We made the same mistake. But yeah, it's still possible even in 3D World to do some aesthetic fill in certain locations. Whoops. Like I said, this is not nearly as hard as I'm making it look. We're being a little bit sloppy, perhaps. Especially with this guy always reaching just a little further than I expect. But yeah, 3D World, things like the Piranha Stems, you just learn to play around it. Whoops. And the hitboxes on these guys too. And yeah, SDA, this is a fantastic theme. It's one of my favorites in 3D World when it comes to the color scheme, the background art, the music, like everything just works with it. And it's also just very visually clear. I think it's definitely one of my favorites in terms of just how well the whole package comes together. Visually, it's actually the same theme as in that rolling cylinder level that was originally in 3D World. Like, that's where this is borrowed from. And yeah, Nuclear Stomp, you know which one I'm talking about. It's sort of interesting that when you look at Mario, I would say ever since Galaxy, and particularly in the 3D series, there has been always this, whoops, a kind of sweets and baking and cookies theme at some point in the game. I mean, that's been true of recent Mario Karts as well. And I guess originally in Super Mario World there was technically like Cookie Mountain and Chocolate Island and such, even though thematically they didn't really do much to sell you on that idea. But the baked goods theme has been sort of silently establishing itself as one of the most regularly recurring Mario tropes, particularly in 3D Mario. And eventually, if we see a Maker 3, that would be a nice one to have, just to have a cookie theme. Because like people don't really think about it as being one of the core Mario styles, but it totally is, or is getting there at this point. Zemetez, I will read your message about the pipes later. It's a little hard to skim that while I'm playing, but hopefully that's useful input, whatever it is. Yeah, because I'm usually just kind of glancing over at the chat between jumps, so I can't quite see what's going on with that. Oops. SD, you kind of wish they'd make a course based on Italian food. Interestingly enough, that was the case in Pikmin 3, which has one of the famous pizza levels, shall we say. Probably the most famous thing that is a pizza level. But yeah, let's see what we can do here. The floating trees, yeah, the issue with 3D World is that simply because of the camera placement. When you place a tree on the bottom tile, the base of the trunk is exposed, which is very unfortunate. There's a bunch of camera stuff like that. It's also true in the airship theme, where you, in all styles, have to deal with the camera bobbing up and down and causing all kinds of trouble with the bottom row. I should not be struggling this much with this one. This is... like I said, not as hard as I'm making it look. Or shouldn't be. But yeah, this I keep forgetting. Yeah, very easy to just kind of play this in autopilot. And yeah, I see why I'm still off in this position all the time. It's because by the time this landing on a creeper becomes relevant, I've already collected the coins, and so that visual reference is no longer really there. So I understand why I'm having so many collisions with that. Even though I know it's coming and I know where it's placed. You think the second fire piranha is literally only one in the level that's dangerous? Yeah, I'll try to keep in mind which one you meant. Because you can release it without killing it easier than the others. Okay. And Zamatez, yeah, you were talking about the red pipe earlier being something that could potentially be used as a shortcut or some other exit path, I guess, so it's not a self-destruct block. I was just catching up on that just now. It is, I think, one of the weirdest spots in a level where even when I know what I'm doing, like you can see that if you miss the coin at all, the kind of default behavior for a player is to try to scramble to safety, right? And if they are able to scramble to safety, then it's very easy to just sort of make the assumption that you can continue. Because even if you know you're aiming for the coin and you know how to progress, there are going to be a couple of things that players will just kind of do on instinct to stay alive. Okay. And you're saying that not all of the coins are 100% accurate. I don't tend to trust coin indicators anyway. But I think it's just my habit to think less about marked targets like coins or P-blocks or tracks or whatever, and more about the thing that I'm actually going to interact with and collide with, right? Like, so I tend to aim for tangible objects rather than markers. I guess coins are kind of both, but that's just what I've been conditioned to do by Mario and other platforming games in general. Whoops. Let's just skip that guy instead of dealing with him. Okay, this guy. There we go. Oh, yeah. We have to stand back a bit. I knew that was going to happen, but I thought I had enough room. That was not the case. Okay, there we go. Finally got that smoothly. And we'll even speed over here a little bit. And we'll even speed over here a bit. That's actually very satisfying. Whoops. That's not so satisfying. No. Yeah, I don't actually have much room at all on that platform. No, whoops. It's actually possible to something the blue piranha creeper to bees in 4 plants in a row. Oh, you mean chain them together? Okay, yeah, I see. Okay, even though I hit the stem, at least I can continue off of it as a platform. No. Yeah, as you can see, if my timing is off, I still try to go for the kill. Okay, let's do this. And then under. And we'll just try to do things quickly. Okay, this guy. We let him try to snipe us first, and then we continue. No. Tree. Let's try to spin back to the tree. Okay, whoop. Keep forgetting that this guy stretches that far. Come on, let's grab this. Play off camera a bit. And yeah, Zamataz, I'm thinking about how that would work in terms of an intentional damage boost. I think that sometimes for something that feels generally like a traditional level, that could feel a little bit strange, but... But it is satisfying to kind of do that as a fallback, at least, so... Nope, hit the stem. I should just jump over that guy completely. It would be much cleaner. But... nope. That's gonna be a mistake. Too bad that's not reachable. You see, here's the thing I don't understand about the second Fire Piranha here, right? Is that if it also fails to get you across, then why would you have it? Unless it is supposed to get you across as a fallback. Okay, there we go. Nope. Same mistake. Okay. And let's go down here before this guy zaps me. There we are. Nope, overshot. It's just in there because the pipe is red and it's also red. Yeah. It does feel a bit strange there because it's... almost like it's telling me that I should be retrying it, I guess. And the spacing prevents that from happening, so... Yeah, I think a couple of things about this section are maybe a little bit weird, but whoa, 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 still overshooting that guy. Always forgetting. Nope. Yeah, same idea here. Demetez, you're going to go for world record? Yeah, good luck. It seems like there is a very satisfying speed path through it, so... Okay, let's try to clean up all this stuff a little bit. Maybe if you moved Piranha to the right side and had it come to the left? Yeah, that would work, because then the damage boost would also work as a fallback. And also you could more clearly see where you're going, right? Because right now part of the issue is that you don't actually see from the camera how reachable the next landing point is going to be. If you had a spacing that required a jump over a gap that's not recoverable, then that should fix it. If you get my meaning. Because the issue is that like this landing point over here is totally out of view. So I don't know if it's safe, or I don't know like what the requirement on that jump is going to be unless I've seen it already. Oops. And that's a hard collision on a stem. I can't believe I'm still on this. Like, it doesn't look challenging at all, especially after the first section, which was very gentle, traditional stuff. Here, I guess just a lot of things going wrong for me on what are fairly normal-looking jumps by any measure. So we'll just try to fix that up. Yeah, this guy here we've learned from experience. He ran into a weird glitch while building. What would that have been? Yeah, my timing on the creepers is generally just not great. There we go. Oops. I keep thinking the 3D World Twirl is going to save me, and it never does because it's 3D World Twirl. If you have a pink piranha plant go up one tile while it's on top of a red pipe with a fire piranha, we'll carry that plant up and down. I should take a note of that and try that out. Pink piranha plants that go up one tile while it's on top of a red pipe. Oh, okay, yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, where you have the pipe spawn activate and then you have the creeper carry the spawn, right? Like a rare example of an enemy collision in 3D World actually happening. Whoops, thought I could make it. Okay, I have to watch that guy's timing. Let's get this down for once. Nope, that guy's gonna snap. Hey, look at that mushroom. And we're through. And ST, I'm not going to go into the editor while I'm on stream right now because we have a lot to get through in queue, but I will probably poke around with it afterwards. Whoops. Yeah, we've seen a couple of fights like this before. With Boom Boom on Clouds. That's not too much of an issue. And here we are, that's the ending. Anyway, thank you for that, Nuclear Stomp. Like I said, I shouldn't have spent nearly that long on the second section, but I'm glad we kind of got a big design chat in there, I suppose. And I think that probably exposes which spots to look for in version 3. I mean, some of it is just a readability thing where, you know, if a player is kind of going sufficiently fast, they're not necessarily going to be waiting for the snapping big piranhas to reach for them. But it's mainly just that red pipe spot that I think is a big stumbling block here right now. But yeah, generally a lot of fun, and the speed route looks great. Like, it's always nice to have something like that just line up very cleanly. I'm going to close the queue at this point. It will be closed at the end of punching in the next code. So thank you for the patience of everybody who has stayed. I usually try to get through everybody who has submitted up to this point. And yeah, Nuclear Stomp, always happy to do playtesting. That is what this stream is mainly for, so. Anyway, we're going to bring in Santi's code, and then I'm going to close up. If Santi checks in, I believe Santi still is here, but we'll just see if that's the case. Thank you for the follow, and thank you, Bandit Otter, for getting in right at the very end before I closed the queue. So yeah, Santi I see on the list, but I don't see checking in, so I might rotate them back one spot. And we'll just check for the next person who's here. Mic drop, if you are still here to drop a mic. I don't see mic drop on the list, so that's going to be a removal if we don't hear back quickly. Hey, Zola King. Zola King, I'm about to close up. If you want to sneak something in, but have I played around with the Yoshi lick out of a claw glitch? You might want to describe that. I'm not really up to speed with a lot of the recent glitch hunting, but and yeah, Zola King, perfectly fine if you just want to come hang out. Mic drop is going to be removed. And I'm still open for Santi to check in if they want to take priority, but we're just going to iterate through the list. It's going to be CC Zuki, who I think might have dropped. I took way too long on the last one, so totally understandable if people are out. Zamatez will be the one after that. I believe Zamatez is definitely still here, so. Since you were just talking about level design a moment ago. Okay, let's bump, and let's go to Zamatez. And yeah, I know you're here, so we will punch in your code and we'll close up from there. (7YF), there we go. Camji, the Grand Cave. Camji 520 used Catsuit to get through this cave as fast as possible. Yeah, we'll try to do that. And you didn't create this level? Yeah, that's fine. Still happy to look at it. Let's close up. And let me just update my stream title and make sure the bot is displaying properly. We'll play it. So were you the one saying that it was basically kind of like a fan ninja? I see, yeah. Because we've already lost a cat, and no key. Okay, so we will probably want to reset through. Yeah, it looks like it's a pretty flexible level. I just need to be much more careful. Okay, the key's going to be dependent on 4 coins. That's what it is. I didn't see the pipe at the end either. And we see 2 coin placements right here. And then we'll occasionally just die to Skip Squeaks, reacting to my jumps. It does remind me of a specific ninja, and I think you know which one, that there was the cat suit and dash panel one of those. We should actually be using the cat dive mechanic. Low clear rate is just because of people resetting. Yeah, it looks like it's mostly from people going for speed. Bandit Otter, if you lick an item out of the claw to frame, it gets grabbed as position. Follows Yoshi's mouth. I wonder if I have seen that. Oh, whoops. That's fine. There are plenty of cat suits here that allow you to continue. Let's scout the level and try to get an embarrassing time first, and then we'll see if we can flow through it a little bit better. Just to see where everything is. I mean, yeah. 1 coin over here, that's something we should keep in mind. Second coin over here with an on-off switch, which I don't believe I've seen yet. On-off switch, okay, here we go. Whoops. I said on-off switch. Yeah, this is short enough that I probably will try to replay it. Not for an optimal time, but for maybe at least a less embarrassing time. Okay, so it looks like we do need to flow back through this in order to proceed. Whoop. And then we'll come through here. All of the pipes give out cat bells, okay. Yeah, I should have been using the dive much more often, but we are going to lose that. Oop. Yeah, I was trying to dive into that guy, but if you hit the ground first, you lose that interaction, so. How come the cat powers manifest in the form of bells? Similar to how the leaf gives you the raccoon, SDGML, which is actually something out of Japanese mythology, if I know that correctly. I think the idea is that you put the bell around your collar the way that you would put it around a collar of a cat. And something that just becomes a cat. The leaf works by similar logic. The cape feather I don't really understand. Okay. So yeah, so this segment doesn't have any of the coins. You collect the 4 coins in this zone here. And then try to find an order that makes sense. Whoops, this is already kind of blown. Whoops, nope, that was a huge miss. Yeah, we're shaving some time off, but not very much. Whoops, should have taken that. Yeah. So you basically need to just have good dive positioning to do a lot of this, I think. Especially with the verticality in the coin collection section. We'll try to maybe beat this time one more time. We're not going to approach 20 seconds, obviously, but we'll flow through it quickly just to see. Yeah, because look at that. You can totally dive through like all of this stuff. And then might as well damage boost through it since we're getting more cat suit anyway. And then you just have to have good reaction time for some of this, I think, too. You know, swap between the dive and the cat scratch. I don't know why I cancelled out of it. I should have actually continued to dive in that diagonal. I like to try it with that method. Okay. Oops, nope. Then, yeah, you can't really get very far here without a catsuit, unfortunately, even with the wall jumps. Let's try it again. Okay. Oh, let's not miss a door. Yeah, we got here in about 10 seconds the last time as well, I think. Nope. On-off switch is the last thing. Zamatez, thanks for asking in advance. I'm going to permit you to post a link. Just give me one moment. Yeah, because I have a pretty aggressive spam filter. So yeah, go ahead and post that. We also have a community Discord if you want that to be in a more easily locatable place, but I'm happy to take your link here as well if you post it quickly. I should have gone for that bell, but that's okay. We'll get a chance at another one here. And then we'll just take damage boost at the very end. And that's still not going to be a great finish. But that's okay. We'll keep that for now. And there will be lots of room for improvement later. And yeah, that's a new personal best for me, so not by much. But I can see how much room there is to improve on this. Yeah, 21 seconds by Zamatez. Not bad. I'm just kind of inaccurate in the second section right now, but... okay, and your video was like maybe a frame off this, or a few frames. So, same kind of route you were going for, I would assume. Anyway, let's mark that as a win for now. Just so we make sure we have time for the rest of the queue. Maybe something worth going back to at some point, especially if we finish in a timely fashion. That would be something to consider. Second and final call for Santi. If Santi doesn't check in, we will move on to Ichigo, SDGML, Bandit Otter. And I think Ichigo also ditched, so it'll likely be SDGML and Bandit Otter, and then maybe we have time to go back to this cat level here. Unless we have any latecomers to reopen for. So, checking for Ichigo, who does not appear to be here. Yeah, some weeks we get a lot of drops if I'm really spending too long on some levels. Some weeks everybody stays, and the stream goes on forever, which is still fun. Okay, we'll remove, and then we'll just move in. And yeah, typically if I finish quite early, we will do some kind of reopening. Also, there was that Luca level at the beginning of the stream where I forgot to see the cake. Your most recent that I haven't played is Hot Potato 2. Let's do that. But first, let's acknowledge the raid from B Minutes with a party of 8. Let me just give you a quick shout out.
Splish.
And yeah, everybody coming in. I did just close the queue, but we only have 2 levels left right now, so I may be able to reopen potentially, depending on how things are looking. But we'll decide that as we go. So yeah, B-Minutes hope Smash Night was going as well as always. We're going to look at Hot Potato 2. Gotta go fast. Key coins for the true ending. For Darth Luke 83 on Twitch, who I understand is a very frequent Mario Kart host as well. I see that circle of SD and friends very often having their kart parties. I'm sure you're looking forward to the new kart material coming very soon. Let's not drop that prematurely. Whoops. That's okay, that works. Okay, in we go. And I was supposed to hold something into this, wasn't I? Oh, because it's a hot potato level, I keep the bomb. Yeah. Okay. I get it. Yeah, I have to be quick about it. I should have been able to discern that from the title. And then we just try to get through efficiently before we get blown up. Nope, wrong way. Needed to kick it over to the right side and get over that jump. Nope, let's reset. And coins are optional. Yeah, we'll take them anyway. You know I do optional content. Oh, whoops. Spent just a little bit too long exposed there. Yeah, don't really have flexibility to miss too much. Okay. We should be fine though. And then there we go. And whoops. It's a little too slow, partly because I'm going for that coin, I'm sure. B-Minutes is going to request number 142. Let's cash that in quickly while we're able to do so. And B-Minutes, I don't know if that's the one that you are up to at this point. Ah, that is the one you did tonight. Almost to the end. Well, let's give your audience that you just brought in an alternative performance. Okay, here's William Shakespeare, sonnet number 142. Love is my sin, and thy dear virtue hate. Hate of my sin, grounded on sinful loving. Oh, but with mine compare thou thine own state, and thou shalt find it merits not reproving. Or if it do, not from those lips of thine, that have profaned their scarlet ornaments, and sealed false bonds of love as oft as mine, robbed others' beds of revenues of their rents. Be it lawful I love thee as thou lovest those whom thine eyes woo as mine importune thee. Root pity in thy heart, that when it grows, thy pity may deserve to pitied be. If thou dost seek to have what thou dost hide, by self-example mayst thou be denied. Thank you for that, B-Minutes. I'll have to check your own rendition afterwards to enjoy it as a member of the audience. The second coin is the trickiest one to get. Yeah, it does look that way. Yeah, because I pretty much have to go for that instantly and not lose too much time running back and forth. And yes, sliding directly to that platform seems best. Nope. Trying to be a bit too daring with that. A few minutes, you have a new level you're working on. Looking forward to it. Nope, too late. Yeah, if we're too stuck on that one, we'll try to do it without the pink coin path, but I would like to do it, so we'll attempt it. Because we are reckless that way. Based around a bonefish falling out of pipes, I see. I feel like we have the wrong idea here with running back and forth for a coin. I think I should actually fire the bomb there and then fire the bomb back. Because then I don't have to move. Maybe. Because I'm losing too much movement time right now. If I... well, we'll think about it. But walking to that coin is not going to be the answer, I don't think. Too many issues with that. Whoops. Too slow there, too. Yeah, too slow, and I lose the bomb. Let's take a look at the next room, though. Up throw for the on switch, and then we suspend ourselves such that we can up throw to the next switch after that. Okay. Oops. I should stop missing that. And then you're going to request a change character to Toadette. We will do that in a moment. I'm kind of holding a bomb right now. Might be a bit of a volatile situation for a costume change. But now is a good time. Since death is imminent. Well, let's see if Toadette does any better. Hey, we made it. Excellent. Nope. I need to get onto right side platform as soon as possible. That to work. And I just haven't figured out the pattern for that yet, so we'll go back and do that again, and Toadette did do better. He threw the bomb after retrieving a coin. Yeah, we'll see. Whoops, that was a mistake. And Banded Otter is going to be a comments on puzzle for me. Yeah, we'll try to keep that in mind when we get to that one. Nope, a little bit too far on the right side. I stalled a bit on my way down and lost momentum. Nope, that's not what I want to do. Let's go over here instead. Notice, by the way, you can do this. For no particular reason. I mean, it's not like the first room is that time sensitive. Nope. Bad jump spacing. I was trying to go as soon as possible, and that was not wise. Yeah, keeping some of the jumps nice and low is going to be essential here. And we are through here. Did I miss a coin there? I don't know. Bounce, and then we need to take the jump and then get another throw past that point. Okay. Well, this is getting a little bit better. I actually agree with what SD said about the timing earlier. Let's grab that coin first in future attempts. I think maybe I'm lowering the platform too much by that jump. I may also be leaving it too early, and I'll have to do that a few times and see if it works. Nope, I lost a bomb. Someone set up us the bomb, or is it set us up the bomb? I can never remember. Anyway, let's head down. Yeah, let's actually hit the coin this time. That might be useful. I'm glad that jump is lenient, considering how often we have failed that throw. Whoa, what was that? Okay. In we go. Hedging a bit on that jump for no particular reason. Nope, let's redo it. Yeah, might as well just do it that way. Won't do it that way every time, but sometimes we just want to proceed. Okay, that went smoothly. Yeah, I don't even need to get the left side platform. In fact, it's a bit of a red herring. Yeah, I see what the issue is there. It's, in fact, the same problem I always have with item handling, which is continuing to hold down to jump into the throw. Which is basic Kaizo or even sub-Kaizo stuff, but one thing that I don't have good muscle memory for, so... Yeah, that's in some ways a very maker-specific skill set. In terms of holding a full jump into a throw, it's not something that you are ever really tested on in one of the official Mario games, so... I do tend to get thrown off by that, even though it's just the most common thing there is. Anything reasonably advanced in Mario Maker. So we'll wrap around here, up throw, and then... There we go. reasonably tidy, and then we have a checkpoint with only 2 coins so far. That's fine. We'll see what this is about. Very similar opening section. Practically identical opening section, in fact. Nope, missed the up throw. And I will not be able to do anything through here, so let's scout ahead with the next section then, at least. We'll go back and we'll try to get that coin. That's going to be an up throw, it's not going to be a jump. So we'll try to get the up throw in both locations. Wow, okay. We'll have to be quicker than that. Final pin coin is a safety coin? Yeah, I assume so. Given the pacing here, it's going to be 2 and 2 plus a safety. I was not expecting a timing here to be that tight, but there we go. It's actually pretty safe. No, we needed to hold the bomb there into that one. Yeah, we can clean that up too. I think I just failed to catch the bomb on its way down. Just slightly late on that exit there. Almost got it. But that was just a bit of slowness from first reading. I could tell I was losing a bit of time to it. Obligatory cat paw effects, I barely noticed. They're not too out of place. Oh, whoops, lost a bomb. Lost a bomb so early, in fact, that I didn't even get hit by it. Yes, so I may actually have to go early today, so we'll finish SD and Bandit Otter since they're existing in the queue, but I might not be able to take any extras at the end after all. That's okay, this will just be a shorter session than usual. But that's okay, we will finish the queue first though. I see what's happening there. I'm jumping before I've successfully caught the bomb. And so it's just falling behind me on its way down. And we're going to acknowledge to raid Gretkowski when I'm not holding a bomb that is about to go off. So Gretkowski coming in with the puzzle crew. I hope you've been doing well. I know that you were on your way to finishing Tower Escape today, which is probably why you've run this late, I'm guessing. because this is an unusual end time for you. And you finished Tower Escape. Congratulations, and thank you for the continued subscription. I have to start Tower Escape, but I finished 3YMM this week, so we are one step closer to getting back to more of this Maker 2 puzzle content. Whoops. Missed the bomb. I actually just failed to pick it up. Huh. You ran this late because you had viewer levels afterwards. Okay. Well, that would definitely do it. Yeah, I'm currently near the end of my queue. And we'll see if we can do anything extra at the end. I am entering the pipe prematurely. I need to let the bomb drop back into my hands first and then enter. So yeah, with Tower Escape out of the way, I guess now it's just spending whatever time you need to fill in the scorecard, which looks massive. I need to actually jump to pick up the bomb, because otherwise I will fall too quickly for it. I had no trouble with that element earlier, but now I'm kind of second-guessing myself in terms of re-grabbing the bomb. Whoops, just a bit of a late takeoff out of that door. Let's try it out. An electric. So distracted. But yeah, Gregowski, good night, and get some sleep after all those towers upon towers and towers. And no, Electric Dude, yeah, my mic's been I think a bit. It's okay. No, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, no, I just had to repeat something because I saw that my mic had blanked for a moment. Whoops. That bomb's going too early. Hang on, let's focus and let's redo this. Standing too close. Yeah, Electrodude, I'll see if we can do any kind of bonus queue at the end, since we are finishing earlier than usual, but it'll depend, because we have this level, we have one by Bandit Otter, and then I'll see what my end time is. And yes, Electrodude, I'm aware that you had a level for the Supernova Birthday Bash. We played one earlier from that. We played Luca's level at the beginning of the stream, and I got all of the bonus coins, and then at the end I missed the pipe that apparently went to the birthday cake. After I had done everything else in the level, so that was an unfortunate oversight. Okay, something about my throw timing is off there. And it was fine earlier. Yeah, I've actually been steadily getting worse at this. Whoops. Considering how cleanly we were playing it much earlier on. And wow, we're getting lots of raids all over the place today. And let me just acknowledge Zero Planes coming in. Zero Planes. Hope everything has been well with you today. And yeah, we're nearing the end of this session, or so it seems. We'll see how long we can actually stay. We just have this and one more in the queue right now, but so we'll see how things go for the people who have newly come in. And yes, Electro Dude, you did beat me to it. I am glad you have used the shout-out powers judiciously. And yeah, Zero, glad to see you here, and I did move my schedule up a bit earlier, starting in 2022, because the old time was getting unreasonable. And so, yeah, things have not lined up that well lately, but do let me know how your program over there went today. And yeah, Zero Planes, I moved everything sort of roughly 2 hours ahead, but I'm late enough with that sometimes it's only maybe 1 hour ahead, so. But because, yeah, the super late time was beginning to get a little unsustainable. Oh, whoops. Oh, I keep missing this. Expert no skip? Yeah, just a matter of getting the rough parts out of your system as you go, I guess. There we go. Actually caught the bomb. Meng, welcome back, I should say. Okay, I am really messing up this jump now, because I had no trouble with the bomb earlier with that coin, and I think it was because I was throwing the bomb before I landed, right? Like I was going really high. Because if I land and throw the bomb, it's not going to fall quickly enough. Like I need to throw the bomb into that landing. You were supposed to do Super Expert with skips, but then you had a lot of rough levels prepping, I see. Whoops. Oh yeah, Electric Dude, earlier you were saying, did I watch the Super Korean World trailer? I haven't seen the trailer, but I did see the account come up, and I have the code for it, so. For those unaware, there's a new Super World with a lot of the best makers from South Korea who all collaborated on one shared Super World account. And that was just released this week. And when I eventually get back to playing Super Worlds, it's only 20 levels. I will very likely make that a priority. It's a lot of people that, if you're familiar with 5 and 6YMM, you'll recognize a lot of them as being involved. And yes, Zero Planes, that user who also goes by GN, is Korean. I don't know if they were involved in that. Yeah, no, I have to throw going into that landing. I keep telling myself that, and I keep missing. Just gotta focus on that. So yeah, we've had some rough patches into platforming today. Dying a lot to easy stuff. There we go, much better, much cleaner. Now let's actually read this room. Nope, too late. I need a higher jump off the last P and then a throw immediately into that. Otherwise we have too much time on the platform. Yeah, so I know what adjustment to make now, I just need to make it. Yeah, it's not that hard at all, I was just flubbing it repeatedly. There we go. Looked like I was a bit low, but we made it. Okay, and then we do the mushroom stomp thing to... Whoa, okay. We don't do the mushroom stomp thing, I guess. Oh, I'm glad I hit checkpoint before I grabbed that coin. No, I'm not, because... Well, either way, it's going to be keyed at, so... Let's take a look at this segment. Cannibal Turtle, welcome. This looks like... Luke... Use the force... Whoop. Okay. Missed a fish. I think we missed a fish. Let's make sure that actually remains the case. Pow remains here. That's okay. We'll take a pipe. And that's a GG. Well, so long to that, and thanks for all the fish, which I guess was just one fish, singular. Yeah, we took way too long on that one coin. Yeah, it worked out pretty well. It kind of... still very distinctive for a hot potato level. Obviously, this is a concept that's been pretty popular since the inception of the game, but it still felt reasonably unique, so... Thank you for that, SD. Yeah, this is an SD level from back in October, Electrodude. There are some recent ones that I have not gotten through yet, since we've been doing viewer level streams than we used to here, so... SD, you enjoy making levels with small rooms because your attention span is so short? Well, I don't know about that. Like, small rooms are still occasionally going to demand a fair bit of playtesting time, depending on what you're constructing, so... So yeah, everybody who has come in with the multiple raids in a row, hope you're all doing great. We will punch in the last level here by Bandit Otter, if Bandit Otter would like to check in, and then we will see if we have time for anything else from the latecomers. Yeah, I believe Bandit Otter is here. Yep, that's right. And this is going to be a comments on adventure, so let's remember to toggle that. We'll get into the level first. And music. Oh, I don't know if that's supposed to be a soundtrack that's played simultaneously. I'm not going to do it right now, but... Or if it's just a music credit. Anyway, Toadette goes on a secret mission in uncharted space. And yeah, so let's turn on the comments. I see that Otter, you're actually the world record holder on this level. On Sahara's account. You'd sent me some of these before, I think. Gong, passengers bound for... Gong. Okay, it's not actually telling you where. But let's take this gate. Welcome to East Koopa City. Thank you for choosing Telepipe. Okay. Well, Telepipe gets my business. Love the placement of this piece, which would do that. The background art is something we should pay attention to. This is the International Criminal Court. I don't know what that's doing here. And then fire in the various clumps. Nothing over here until we find a way to break it. Hey, you, suspicious person. Better not catch you sneaking around the boss's place. Might be bad for your health. I think that's the entirety of the loop. Let's just stand here for a moment. Might be bad for your health. You know what I'm saying? Okay, I see. Let's check some of the rooms. In fact, before I do anything, welcome to ICC Limited. For redeem an item, please enter the item coupon code. Looks like there will be a code entry that we need to decrypt from elsewhere in the level. Yeah, there we go. It's going to be 10 digits, and then the P is going to activate it. It also looks like it's probably just going to be binary, given that it's just 1 POW, and the POW will be a single activation. That's a ceiling, by the looks of it. Well, there's going to be the whole combination lock contraption over there. Given the lack of any kind of exit here, I assume it is going to be something like a power-up dispenser for power-up progression. But we'll see if that is true. Anyway, let's see the fire room. Okay, this is like a shopping mall. And it's giving you hints about the bomb reset, which we just were reminded of through the hot potato level. Is there anything accessible here to me? Let's see. Have you seen Lava Fish? I heard it's huge and scaly. Coupon code with a bunch of PlayStation buttons. Oh, I see. Okay. So it's a piece of the code. It's 5 of the 10 digits, and then the XX square circle triangle is going to correspond to something. Which is interesting because I was assuming that the code would be binary digits. I hope it doesn't correspond to PlayStation buttons, of course, because I don't remember the layout. No, you're breathtaking. Okay. Anyway, XX square circle triangle. We'll think about that when we have some additional context for it. We'll avoid the checkpoints for the time being and check the pipe. If you move into a comment, the comments will reset from a start. Yeah, I do know that. This looks like it requires a helmet in order to reach the door on the right side. A helmet or a POW, likely a helmet. I would still need to get up into that location, so the idea may be helmet plus spring, unless I want to shell jump, which would probably not be advised. Also, this is a square, notice. And maybe that corresponds to the squares on the code, but I don't know. This almost looks like a corner of a QR code or something. But we'll see. We'll check the checkpoint in a bit. I want to check everything else first, so we're not forced into it. Good evening, mademoiselle. Do you have a reservation? I think that's all you're saying. This is a hotel. With lots of lights over here. Lava Fish was spotted near this restaurant. Place is posh but is owned by the mob. Okay. That's important information. Rubble outside. Yeah, I'm sure we'll need to bomb something at some point. Get out of the kitchen. No, not you. You keep chopping the vegetables. That is not how you cook the sauce. Do it over. Sacre bleu, I'm surrounded by incompetents. Okay. Notice this on the left. I wonder if that's actually going to be some kind of important spatial clue. Suzuki, you missed your check-in earlier. We will try to get you back in if there is time at the end. Because you were in the queue earlier. Oh, this is the firefish. Okay. I see. No way I'm climbing into that thing's mouth. Will you feed the lava fish for me? If you do, I'll give you something useful. Feed us something it likes and wait for 15-ish seconds. Nope. Not pauses orders. Yeah, I mean, like, there's kind of camera locking here, and so you need to send something in there that will have a certain activation. It might be a Goomba, it might be something else. Interestingly enough, I probably could have bounced on top of the shell to get up top on top of the fish. But we'll have to figure out what the fish wants. What is this guy telling me again? Hey, you know what? We'll do that, in fact. You know what this reminds me of is the entrance to Kraid in Metroid Dread. Where you roll in here with the barf ball. It is even also over lava. Anyway, we should probably hit that checkpoint soon. Lava fish, yeah. Something about clearing rubble. Okay, this is rubble, digging for treasure. Coin after the pipe, which we'll have to see about later. Here's one coin up top. We can collect it and lose the shell. That's fine. We'll watch the time here because I may keep that coin going into whatever is located here. Recycle checkpoint. Okay, so it's just a consistent save point. And as we can see, there is going to be some correspondence between the shapes and the Muncher display here. So yeah, so we have 5 digits of the code. We know that in the code the squares and circles will stand for something, and we have seen those clues. We have not seen a clue for the X. Okay, let's listen to the comment. I used to work at ICC before the mob took over. Now I live here in the slums. Okay. Okay, binary digits. Excellent. Ah, okay, so you get 2 digits for each of those. One moment here. Okay, let's continue. Used to work at ICC before the mob took over. Yeah, we know that. So we know the code. Okay, where were we? Yeah, so we know the code from the different shapes that we had here, and we have a couple of different binary digits that just count up to 4 with 2 bits. We were given 5 digits earlier in the other room. It was like square, square, something, something, something. So I don't know. We also have the clue that the lava fish is a herbivore. Let's figure out what that means. It's probably like feeding it a Goombud or something. Or a Goombrat. I don't know if that counts as a... Actually, no, we could do a mushroom or something. Like we had Yoshi or something too. I guess that's technically a fungus. Well, anyway, we need to place some kind of object in there. And we'll have to figure out what. Let's take a look at the digits one more time. It goes 0, 1, 2, 3 in binary. We don't know if we'll be using the previous representations of the 5 characters that we've received earlier to represent all 10 binary digits, but that's certainly a possibility. So it goes 0x triangle square as 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay. 0x triangle square. Also, we haven't actually used these visual clues here yet, which is important. So let's think about how this will go. Because we saw this, we saw the one for the square. Hang on, let's revisit the code. I may have to actually jot things down. Let's wait and see. Yeah, 0x triangle square. And so we need to think about this like a gate, I think. In fact, yeah, it might work like a gate. Let's try to recover this clue here. Yes, okay. Why would this be 1 and 1? Or, for that matter, number 3? Well, we'll need to find anything that would maybe decrypt the other symbols. Let's look around a bit more. And we also know at this point that we needed the thing to feed the fish. And yeah, thank you, Bandit Otter, for the mnemonic in chat. Not the mnemonic, I guess just a note-taking. The memory aid. Oh, I see what this building is supposed to look like on the outside now. I wasn't previously paying that much attention to the architecture. But now I see. Did we check the upper level here? 1-up mushroom. Oh, and then there still is the question block up top. Okay. Ah, here's the triangle. That's interesting. Okay, no, I see. The shapes are assigned to particular rooms, maybe? We didn't check the pipe in the opening section. Nothing here, just Koopas. Alright. Right, please proceed through the second floor pipe, that's understandable. Yeah, this is just going to be the lock room, nothing else to see there. And bring up a bomb through the door or pipe. Yeah, we haven't actually had a chance to pick up a bomb yet. And we clearly need to do so at some point because of the clear to rubble clue, which will probably involve some kind of spawn block. So maybe that's the first thing that we need to think about is how do we get a bomb? Also, this is totally a bad idea, but I thought I'd try it. Yeah, I mean, this is a potential bomb location for sure. And then we would maybe hit this with something that would spawn a winged object or something similar to that. Anyway, we saw the whole thing with the kitchen and a lava fish earlier. I still don't know if the left side here is just decorative, but we'll figure that out. And so we'd previously placed the shell there, and it's not going to be a shell. But I'm thinking about what else we could possibly move, given what we currently have to play with. Nobody dining over here. Food here is delicious. That seems like it's... Ah, I get it, I get it. So, it says something about the lava fish being a herbivore. But the food in the kitchen is delicious. The food, I believe, are these guys that are in the freezer here. That is keeping the Goombuds in the freezer. And that is the dish that is being served. And maybe it's being grilled and turned into a dish that resembles a spiny hat. Okay, that was a bit careless. I was just jumping around. Anyway, why is this the fire hall? I mean, it is just a mall. I guess just the fancy lights on the building. Is there anything I can do to move any of the objects that are technically being sold here? Because none of them look like they're within grab range at the moment. So if you had something like a bomb, you would be able to remove one of the blocks that would then allow the Goomba to walk. Positionally, that doesn't really seem to help. Oh, yeah, let's read these clues again. Okay, so let's actually punch in the code as a binary series. XX square circle. Let's take that as like 11302. And let's go to the code room. Because supposing that we take all of these as binary digits, it'll be 1, 1, 3, 0. Sorry, no, 1, 1, 3, 0, and then 2. And let's see if that does anything. It did say it was only the partial code, so... Oh yeah, there we go.